One bus, please. Thanks. Ooh boy. Okay, so they don't have to be that short, but we are going to talk about short stories today. Who's ready? Sorry, another short story joke. The object isn't to condense the same amount of information that you would into a regular-sized book into a smaller, denser black hole of a project. It's a different form of storytelling altogether. So today we're going to talk about short stories. Those of you who've seen my other Writing Crimes video know what you're in for. For those of you who haven't, we're going to go over 3 big pitfalls of writing short stories and how to sidestep them. I'm Justin Addis, aka The Roadside Writer, and here come 3 writing crimes in short stories. The most obvious and crucial difference between a novel and a short story is that the protagonist always dies. Just kidding, it's the length. You have a finite word space between, I'd say, 1,000 and 20,000 words before you cross over into the twilight zone of novellas. It's a lot shorter than your average story. To communicate a tale that's just as emotionally impactful, it's a true challenge. In that time, you need to communicate an easily identifiable story. Story. That means beginning, middle, end. Not a mood or atmosphere. As important as these things are in a story, it won't stand on its own. If you don't have an actual sequence of events, you don't have a story. Which brings us to writing crime number 1, not knowing what your story is. So many short stories fall short in the narrative department for focusing too heavily on elements of setting or tone. Then they run out of words for the story. These things are important, but when word count is so limited, a story always takes priority. A sequence of events without an identified tone can be boring, but it's still a story. A tone without a sequence of events is just a weird vibe. The easiest way to avoid this? Make sure your story has a sequence of events, even if it's just 3. Make sure there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. If you have at least that, then you've got a story. Make sure 3 things happen that relate around a theme. Looking for a pet, looking for a pet. What should I get? Hey, little guy. You want to come home with me? How much for the little guy? He's up for adoption. To a loving family, he's free. Here's the application. What to name a rat? Can't even think of what to name him? Not sure if I feel comfortable with this arrangement. Hey, wait, no! Get out of here. Ugh. That's it. What are you doing back? I figured it out. Got a name for him. Coin. Pretty good. Crime number 2, name chaos. Most of the things that can detract from a short story can be tied to the reduced length. Here's another one. Don't give your short story an extended cast of gray houses. There's a reason epic fantasies are thick reads. Limit your character count. Don't create too many characters to tie up loose ends with. Let's do a little exercise. Watch the scene play out, and don't pause the video or write anything down.
That's it. Nobody leaves the Minister Motel until we figure out who put mulberries in Mabel's pie. Everyone knows Mabel has an instant death allergy to mulberries.
It wasn't me. I didn't bake anything.
Quiet, Michael. I need to think. Think about what, Morgan? How many mulberries it took to moidle Mabel? Murtaugh. What, Moify? He's the moiterer. No, it couldn't have been him. I saw him on Mavery Line right before Mabel showed up murdered.
Guys, I did it. I did it with a shovel. Question is, are you going to help me take care of this, or are you going to join Mabel?
Still following? What was the name of the hotel these guys are staying at? What was the name of the guy with the hat and the flannel? Having trouble?
That's because there's actually 2 writing crimes packed into one here for writers of short stories. One was what we call in the writing world name soup. Now 4 characters could actually be a lot for a short story, depending on the length. And that's not including the moidal victim, Mabel. Let's say for argument's sake that the Mulberry Mystery is on the longer end of short stories, and 4 characters is an acceptable roster. This still is one of the worst scenarios you could dream up to introduce those 4 characters. We started with all 4 characters at once, mid-conversation. Have you ever met 4 new people at the same time? How hard is it to keep all those names straight? Because this is the exact position you're putting your readers in when you open a short story with a scenario like this. If you're going to have this many characters in your short story, it's best to introduce them piecemeal, no more than 2 at a time. I also included, just in that introductory scene, the name of the motel and a street. It's way too much information to take in and absorb all at once. The other big problem with the scene we just saw also has to do with names. Let's call it a name confusion. All of the characters' names started with M, I'm sure you noticed. Never do this. And it doesn't just mean first letters. Don't use similar sounding names, especially in a short story. You have a very limited time for readers to get to know these characters, so it's best to make their names as distinctive as possible. Names are often one of the first things we use to distinguish one person from the next. Choose them with care. So let's fix all that.
Where are the others? Talking to the police. Police. Still can't believe Mabel's dead. We won't be able to leave till we figure out who baked the mulberry pie. I know, Sam. I know. What's that bloody shovel about?
Crime number 3. Don't leave the reader wondering too much. Our last crime involves the unique balance of letting the reader in. A good rule of thumb is that the purpose of a short story is not to wrap up every loose end. It's to stimulate thought. You should answer most major questions posed by the plot of your short story, but if you obsess over wrapping up every loose end, it's going to come off as info dumping, or worse, just checking off boxes, when really some of the best endings are a little ambiguous.
Oh man, are we at 20,000 words already? Alright, let's run through this. I'm your father, you're half Martian, you're at a higher risk of pulmonary heart disease, runs in the family.
Oh my god.
Really? And, my blood is the only thing that can stop the bomb that the Martians have poised at the planets. So yeah, you gotta pick what side you're on, son. Mine or the Earthlings.
When you try to pack too much in, it loses impact. With short stories, you have to choose carefully what story arcs will have closure and which ones will be left open to interpretation.
I can help you disarm the bomb, but only if we use my blood. If we need your blood to deactivate the bomb, and the chamber can only be opened by a family member of someone who engineered it, then you, father? We don't have time for that. Only time to decide. What'll it be? Let them take the planet you call home, or come with me. But wait, what if we... Sentimental fool, you wasted all our time!
In the second scenario, a few questions were left unanswered, but implied. Not to mention, it wrapped up in a way that's probably unexpected to most readers, and leaves them with a lasting emotion, even if it's not closure, even if it's regret. That's a huge part of writing an effective short story. It should inspire a strong emotion. There you go, gang. 3 pitfalls of writing short stories and how to avoid them. Don't commit the writing crimes of having no core story, confusing your readers with too many names, or cramming to tie everything up in a neat little unrealistic bow. Instead, just make sure you have a beginning, middle, end. Keep names to few and unique variations, and don't be afraid to leave some things to the imagination. Short stories offer their own risks and rewards that are completely different from other types of storytelling. You get more impact and emotion for less time investment, but it's certainly an art. Keep these writing crimes in mind, and you'll be in good shape to write a great short story. Special thanks to Horrible Histories Memes on Instagram, I'll leave a link to his profile in the description, for suggesting this video. I really hope that this helps students in England who have to complete short stories as part of their exams. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to The Roadside Writer to support more fun writing help and adventure schooly videos. Roadside Writer, out.